and sometimes it doesn't protect. And what is the form of, basically simple thing I बताऊंगा कि जो डीटी फॉर्म है ना भगवान का, विग्रह फॉर्म जो है वो फुली सरेंडर्ड फॉर्म है डिवोटीज को। उन्होंने अपने आप को डिवोटी को दे दिया, तुम खिलाओगे मैं खाऊंगा, तुम नहीं खिलाओगे मैं नहीं खाऊंगा, तुम मुझे सजाओगे मैं सजूंगा, नहीं तो मैं ऐसे ही रह जाऊंगा। तो उन्होंने अपने आप को दे दिया है पूर्णतः। सो it is responsibility of the devotees to take care of the Lord. So that is the form of the Lord DT. So that is why he sometimes feels that he is not reciprocating when some attacks is happening and all. But ऐसा नहीं है, जब अटैक हुआ है तो DT ने भी अपने को बचाना क्या, बाकी पूरे भक्तों को बचाया उन्होंने। आप बंगाल से जितने लोग हैं, तो एक बंगाल में एक पान विष्णुपुर बोल के एक जगह है, आप अगर सर्च करेंगे तो वहां पे एक भगवान का डीटी है जिन्होंने तोप चला के मारा था एग्रेसर्स को, तो तोप अभी भी मंदिर में रखा हुआ है। तो द पॉइंट इज दैट ना, शिवाजी महाराज के समय में भी विठल, जो पंढरपुर एक जगह है वहां पे विठल जी का डीटी है, उन्होंने शिवाजी के तरफ से लड़ाई करी थी। सो देयर आर लाइक डीटी डायरेक्टली रेसिप्रोकेटिंग आल्सो। सो देयर इज अ होल साइंस बिहाइंड दिस। सो इस तरह के कुछ बुक्स हैं कि आप लोग पढ़े। आज जो हम आपको बुक ले जा रहे हैं वो है लाइफ विजडम फ्रॉम रामायण ऑन लाइफ एंड रिलेशनशिप करके एक बुक है। हमारे ही इस्कॉन के डिवोटी है, बहुत स्कॉलर है जो कि इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे टीचिंग करते हैं। उन्होंने एक बुक लिखी थी, वो मेरे को बहुत पसंद है बुक, बताता हूँ आपको। वहां लोग चैप्टर सीता के पनिशमेंट पे और करेंगे, ठीक है ना। तो मेरे जो लिस्ट में नाम आ रहे हैं वैसे मैं पढ़ने के लिए आपको बोलूंगा। तो शुड बी स्टार्ट विथ सीता। स्क्रीन दिखाई दे रहा है आपको?
यस प्रभु जी।
देखते हैं कितना देर तक हम पढ़ सकते हैं। एक चैप्टर ही आज फोकस करेंगे। तो मैं बोलता तो मतलब मैं शॉर्ट में बोलता, बट लेट्स रीड एंड देन थिंक। सो ये एक चैप्टर है, दैट इज वन ऑफ द लास्ट चैप्टर्स ऑफ दिस बुक। तो मैं आपको पहले दिखा देता हूँ।
रिकॉर्डिंग इन प्रोग्रेस।
देखो ये बुक है विजडम फ्रॉम रामायण, एंड देन this chapter we are reading, that this chapter we are reading, this chapter we are reading. So victimizer or sacrificer, for reflections of Ram's abandoning Sita. So let us read. Yes, Sita, go. पढ़ो।
प्रभु जी हट गया वो पेज।
क्या बोले?
वो पेज हट गया। It's not on the screen anymore. I can see it now. ये बंद हो गया।
अभी आया?
ब्लैक स्क्रीन है प्रभु जी।
देखो आएगा।
अब आया।
हाँ अभी?
नहीं प्रभु जी, वो अब बुक है।
हाँ पढ़ो।
Ram's forsaking Sita is the Ramayan's most challenged and most challenging incident. A man's abandoning his pregnant wife because of an unproven accusation seems troublingly wrong. Let's analyze this using the acronym SEES. SEES. S standing for sacrifice, E for ethical dilemma, another E for esoteric explanations, and S for selflessness. Sacrifice. It is sometimes thought that Ram exiled Sita because he was excessively reputation conscious. Did he abandon Sita just because he didn't want his good name sullied by having a wife suspected to be impure? But if he had been so obsessed with his reputation, then why did he not remarry after sending Sita away? A king overly concerned about appearances would want a trophy queen by his side. Being a queenless king was hardly a reputation enhancer.
या तो कुछ लोग बोलते हैं कि ना वो उनको लगा कि अरे ना लोग क्या बोलेंगे उसके चक्कर में ना मैं इनको बैन कर देता हूँ दैट्स वन नॉट रीजन अगर वो उतने रेपुटेशन कॉन्शियस होते सो कॉल्ड है ना तो वो फिर से शादी कर सकते वो किंग थे एक्चुअली उस समय उस युग में क्षत्रियों को मोर देन वन मैरिज अलाउड था कलयुग में नहीं है बट दैट टाइम इट वाज अलाउड so he could have done but he didn't do so this is one reason yes go on. What happened?
Prabhuji did not load yet for me. Now it has loaded. I'll start reading. As a wealthy, powerful emperor, Ram could have married anyone of his choice, but he refused to remarry because he wanted to honor his word to Sita. Soon after their marriage, Ram had promised Sita that she would be his only wife. By keeping that pledge lifelong, Ram showed his respect for Sita, thereby rebutting her accusers. If Ram had wanted to remarry, he could have justified giving up that pledge on the grounds of religious duty. As a king, he was expected to perform sacrifices meant for his state's welfare, and tradition mandated that the sponsor perform such sacrifices with his wife. When priests pointed out this requirement and exhorted Ram to remarry, he respectfully but firmly refused. He honored the traditional requirement by making a golden image of Sita and seating it beside him. Prabhuji, can you? Yeah, thank you. Seating it beside him during the sacrifices. By according this honor to her through her image, he proclaimed that he still considered her his wife, and that he still considered her pure. So pure, in fact, that her image could sit next to him in rituals that often required exacting standards of purity. Ethical dilemma.
Yeah. So then he didn't marry because ना there was a need because बहुत सारे कुछ ऐसे यज्ञ करने होते हैं जिस समय ना पति पत्नी दोनों को उसमें भागीदार होना पड़ता है तो यजमान बनते हैं ना वो तो उस समय भगवान ने उनके डीटी को वहां पे बिठाया and there is no difference between because they are Lakshmi and Vishnu so they can do it but point is that he considered that purity of Sita that's why he could do it actually and then he didn't marry yes padhiye
Ethical dilemma. If Ram considered Sita pure, why did he abandon her? Because the ethical dilemma confronting him didn't seem amenable to any other solution. We need to see the actions of characters in the epics in the light of the prevailing culture and its cherished values. The Ramayana depicts a deeply spiritual culture. Therein, people saw success not just in terms of prosperity in this world, but also in terms of the spirituality cultivated during one's journey through this world. Cultivating spirituality in its highest sense meant developing God's devotion to the source of everything, God, and harmonizing one's whole life accordingly. In such a culture, all relations and positions were seen as opportunities for sacred service to God and to others in relationship with Him. One service was the service of exemplifying detachment, especially from things that came in the way of one's spiritual growth. Most people are attached materially to their relations and positions. Such attachments can keep them alienated from God, who is the ultimate provider of everything, including family members, and who is the ultimate shelter after death, when all family members are left behind. Materially attached people are naturally attracted to those with lavish material assets. The person with the most impressive material assets is usually the king. If the king demonstrates detachment by not letting material things come in the way of spiritual cultivation, then the king's example forcefully edifies citizens about the importance of life's spiritual side. So, integral to the king's duty was the duty of demonstrating to his citizens that worldly attachments couldn't sway him from his spiritual dharma. This duty conflicted with Ram's duty as a husband. When Ram heard the accusation leveled against Sita, he was faced with an ethical dilemma. Whereas a moral dilemma confronts us with two choices: one moral and the other immoral. An ethical dilemma confronts us with two choices, both moral. For resolving an ethical dilemma, we need to discern the higher moral principle and harmonize the lower moral principle as much as possible. Ram's dilemma was ethical because his duty as a king conflicted with his duty as a husband.
Yes. So यहाँ पे क्या कॉन्टेक्स्ट चल रहा है कि राम जी के पास एक तो है कि उनको एग्जेम्पलरी बिहेवियर दिखाना है, एंड देन वन ऑफ द बिहेवियर डिटैचमेंट, दैट कोई भी व्यक्ति, कोई भी वस्तु या कोई व्यक्ति अगर हमारे अपने रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के बीच में आता है, भगवान के जो भी हम सेवा कर रहे हैं उसके बीच में आता है, तो हम उससे दूर होने उसको छोड़ सकते हैं, लाइक वो डिटैचमेंट होता है, दैट इज व्हाट if that is coming on the way, like जैसे कि प्रहलाद महाराज को उनके पिताजी ने बोला कि आप ना भक्ति मत करो, then it is not rule, it is not that you should not obey your father, you should obey your father. राम जी वही सिखा रहे हैं, but जब I'm not teaching all of you this, I'm just telling you a concept that if that person is coming on the way, then we should respectfully keep a distance. That's ऐसा नहीं कि प्रहलाद महाराज ने उनको पिता कहना छोड़ दिया, उनके घर में नहीं रहे थे, तो सह रहे थे सब कुछ, बट ही वाज प्रैक्टिसिंग भक्ति आल्सो। एंड देन जब नरसिंह देव आए तो उन्होंने नरसिंह देव बोला कि क्या चाहिए आपको, कुछ मांगो। उन्होंने बोला कि मुझे कुछ नहीं चाहिए, मैंने कुछ बिजनेस करने के लिए नहीं किया है आपकी भक्ति ना। Then also Narsim Dev said, no, please ask something. Then he said that, please forgive my father. ना, so then नरसिंह देव बताते हैं उनको कि आपका फादर के आपका 21 जनरेशन को मैंने लिबरेट कर दिया है, because you are a devotee in the family. So the point is that the devotees or those who are people who are devoted to God, they don't leave their spiritual life, but don't mean that they become insensitive to other people and all, but obviously they get detached, like they are not affected by their presence or absence, and they not let their spiritual life get affected also. So that is intelligently done, and that is sensitively done, and for that we need guidance. So when you people face any kind of difficulty like this, you can approach us, we'll guide you that how to deal with all the kind of responsibility. But the point is here, Ram is there in moral dilemma नहीं है उनको ना, moral dilemma means आपको चुनना है कि मुझे ये करना है कि नहीं करना, ये सही है और ये गलत है, उसमें से चुनना है। दैट इज वेरी इजी। बट आपको दो सही चीज में चुनना है ना, तो बहुत दिक्कत हो जाती है कि इधर भी क्या करूं मैं ना, दोनों सही है। लाइक ना एज ए हस्बैंड उनका था कि मुझे रक्षा करनी है इनकी, मुझे प्रोटेक्शन देना, और एज ए किंग ये डिमांड आ गया कि यू हैव टू शो डिटैचमेंट हियर बिकॉज देयर इज ह्यूमर।